sisters, Happy New Year! Welcome to the year 2021 by the solar calendar, and welcome to our National Family Service. My name is Jennifer Pierce, and I'll be your host today. Thank you for joining us today. We hope that you'll enjoy what we have to offer with you this morning, and as we share in the warmth and love of our community and catch the Spirit of God and how He's moving at this time. As always, we invite you to participate fully and sing and clap and dance and open up our hearts to welcome God into our hearts this morning, and starting with our opening song.
For our opening song, we have a wonderful virtual choir put together by Camp Kogape and our National Family Service team. Camp Kogape was one of our several winter workshops for our youth across America happening this past week. Congratulations to all the successful winter workshops. Thank you for that opening song, Camp Kogape. For our opening prayer, let's head to New York to invite up Reverend Grodner, the National Executive Director of ACLC.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. Good morning. Please join me in prayer. Our most precious, loving Heavenly Parent, we thank you for this new day. We thank you for this new opportunity to align ourselves with you as we enter in this new year of 2021. We want to leave those things that did not resemble you, did not look like you, did not act like you in the past. And we want to bring forward into this new year all those things, all those glorious things of your holy community, of your ideal, of the best in each one of us. Please guide us. Please guide each of us, that we can realize that we are your representatives, that we are your sons and daughters, and that that we are your arms and your legs and your mouthpiece. Please use us, guide us. Please give us this confidence to know that you need to and want to dwell within each one of us, and you want to live through each one of us, that we can certainly show the reality of your existence upon this earth. Please be with our sermon giver today, our president, our newly appointed president, Naokimi Ushiroda, as he speaks and shares about goal setting with you. How important it is for us to align ourselves not only with our desires, but with your desires, and that our desires match your desires and our goals match your goals for us. For you have great hope. You have great faith in each one of us that we can do great things as we align ourselves with you and as we make those goals and our objectives, your objectives, and your will be our will and your thinking be our thinking. Thank you so much for this new day, for this new year. We offer this prayer in the name of the Grodner family, a blessed central family. Amen and Aju.
Good morning. Welcome to the National Family Service.
Our international community was founded by Father and Mother Moon, whom we call our true parents.
True parents have taken up the mission bestowed upon them by Jesus Christ to help us all reconnect and fortify our relationship with God through a deeper understanding called the Divine Principle, and by receiving the Holy Marriage Blessing.
To learn more about our community, just type #Connect on the Facebook chat or sign the guest book on the nationalfamilyservice.org.
On our website, you'll find all the links you'll need for tithing, community meetups, kid resources, and more.
We'd love to hear your ideas and feedback at any time.
Just hit the send message button on our Facebook page to chat with one of our online ushers.
Thank you for joining us today. We can't wait to get connected with you.
Good morning again, everyone. Thank you so much, Camp Kogape, for that beautiful performance of One Day. I love that song. And thank you, Dr. Grodner, for your beautiful prayer. At this time, before we invite our sermon giver, we'd like to bring our offerings. So we're going to welcome you guys to give your local tithes at this time. To make that tithe, please visit nationalfamilyservice.org, click the drop-down button, Local Church, and go to Give, or type #tithe in the Facebook chat. And while you're making that offering, we hope you enjoy this beautiful Offertory song.
For our offering song today, we're featuring one of our musical groups representing America in the online Hyojung exhibition for the 12th annual Myun Hyojin Music Festival. The Masembwa sisters from Alpharetta, Georgia, will be performing a beautiful cover of the song Roar.
I used to bite my tongue and hold my breath, scared to rock the boat and make a mess. So I sat quietly, agreed politely. I guess that I forgot I had a choice. I let you push me past the breaking point. I stood for nothing, so I fell for everything. You held me down, but I got up, already brushing off the dust. You hear my voice, you hear that sound, like thunder gonna shake your ground. You held me down, but I got up. Get ready, cause I've had enough. I see it all, I see it now. I got the eye of the tiger, the fighter, dancing through the fire. Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar louder, louder than a lion. Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar. Butterflies, thinking I could be under stripes. I went from 0 to my own hero. You held me down, but I got up, already brushing off the dust. You hear my voice, you hear that sound, like thunder gonna shake you around. You held me down, but I got up. Get ready, cause I've had enough. I see it all, I see it now. I've got the eye of the tiger, fighter, dancing through the fire. Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar louder, louder than a lion. Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar. Champion, and you're gonna hear me roar, roar, roar. You're gonna hear me roar, roar, roar. I got the eye of the tiger, fighter, dancing through the fire. Champion, and you're gonna hear me roar louder, louder than a lion. Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar, roar, roar. You're gonna hear me roar, roar.
Thank you so much, Musemboa Sisters. What a great performance. A bunch of people in the comments were saying that it gave them chills. And thank you to all of you for making your offerings. And now it is my pleasure to welcome our Family Federation President in America, Naokimi Ushiroda, for our main message today. Welcome, President Naokimi.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good morning, good day, brothers and sisters throughout America and beyond. Happy New Year for 2021. I believe it's the year of the ox. I know that for many of us, the 2020 was a pretty tough year. You know, we had this pandemic and a lot of social unrest, political disputes, and even racial conflicts, financial challenges. So it was tough, but today is really the first sermon of the new year in 2021. And I really wanted to start off this year by giving a message around goal setting and setting goals with God. You know, statistically, less than 6% of people actually set time to reflect on and write down their goals. And, you know, it seems like it's a very important skill to have and to do, but why is it that most people don't set goals? I know many of us may have set New Year's resolutions in the past, but I think the number one reason why people refrain or stop setting goals is because there's a fear of failure, a fear that, you know, maybe even last year, some of you may have set goals, and because of all the different circumstances, you weren't able to maybe achieve your goals. So it can be very discouraging at times. But my hope for today's message is that through really the sermon, you can really regain some confidence and excitement around setting goals, and really learn about key concepts on how you can actually go about setting goals, but together with God. And by the end of this sermon, I hope you can really set a goal or two, or maybe even three for yourself that you really want to commit to and get excited about for this coming year. So let's start with the question, why set goals in the first place? It seems like a lot of efforts required, and again, why set a goal if it only sets you up for failure? I'd like to present three concepts. The first is that, number one, it gives a sense of purpose and direction. The Bible says that without a vision, the people shall perish. And this applies to individuals as well, that if you don't have a vision for your life, then you start to lose the meaning, purpose, direction, value even of your own life. So it's really important for you to really experience and being alive, fully alive, that you set goals in your life. There's a quote here by Father Moon, before your ship sets out on a voyage, you have to know where it is going. Same thing with GPS. If you didn't have the destination, you can have the best GPS, but if without a destination, you're not going to get anywhere. So it's the same thing with life, that we need to set a destination, set goals in order for us to actually progress and develop and grow in our lives. When I was thinking about stories around goal setting, the first thought that came to mind was that as a child, I really loved video games. Actually, I think I still like video games today. But the reason why I like games was because the goal was so clear. They actually define what the goal is. You either beat the boss, or you make the most money, or different aspects. But it was so clear what the goal was and the rules. And every time you progressed, they would actually reward you and show you that you're going in the right direction. So I really loved and enjoyed video games. I also remember, growing up, parental influence is huge on the children. And I might have shared this story before, but my parents were very kind of strict or big on academic focus. So that really helped me to really strive for doing well in school. The second reason for why set goals is so that you can be more productive. I don't know if you noticed, but for those people who set goals, they tend to achieve more, do more, and generally be more fulfilled. There was a study by Virginia Tech University where they followed students for over the course of their lifetime. And they found that the students who wrote down their goals and actually took time to set and plan their goals, over the course of their lifetime, 20, 30, 40 years, they found that those who set goals actually earned 9 times more than those who didn't on average. So there's definitely a case to be made that by setting goals, you will be more productive. But a third reason why setting goals is really important, particularly to a faith community, is I believe that by setting goals, you can see more clearly how God is working in your life. In fact, I believe that goal setting is a fundamental spiritual practice of faith because it's about believing in the unseen. One quick story. I think children are quite good at this. I remember one time my son, when he was in second grade, I believe, he came up to me one day and he asked me, he said to me, I want a coin sorter. one of those round things where you put in the coins and it automatically goes into the pennies, dimes, nickels, quarters, like that. And it was kind of a random request, so I kind of ignored him. Terrible dad, but I ignored him. I said, he'll forget. 1 week later, he comes back with the same question, and he says, I want a coin sorter. And it was a very specific request, and I was really curious why, he wanted that. But anyway, again, he was 7, so I figured he'd forget about it, so I ignored him again. 3rd week comes along, and he literally comes home, and there's a coin sorter in his hands. And I'm like, where did you get that? And he said that his friend had gifted it to him for his birthday. So I immediately called his friend's mom. He happened to be also our babysitter. Asked, did Tayshan ask for this? Ask for a coin sorter? And she was like, no, I don't remember him asking for it. Just my son felt like he wanted to give it to him. And I just saw like this kind of innocent but steadfast desire to have this coin sorter, and just the universe responding to allow that to happen. And this is true in our lives as well, is that when you set clear goals in your life, and when you actually see how God can work beyond your understanding to make it happen, this is how you can confirm personally that God is alive and well in your life. So it is essential, I believe, for you to set goals in order for you to be able to see. Otherwise, if you don't have any goals, the opportunities, the benefits, all those things may be happening right in front of your eyes, but you won't notice that it's God or spirit world trying to help you in your life. So as scary as it is sometimes to set goals, it's really important to set goals in order to be able to see how God is working in your life. We'll share more stories about that later on. So here's a passage by Father Moon. If you follow your original mind, the whole universe will open up before you. The way you ought to go surely will unfold before you, and the forces of the universe will help you follow it. In fact, it is only then that you will be able to do great things. This great power undergirds the lives of true men and women. They are aware of this infinite power, and it propels them forward in the direction they wish to take. This is a passage from Father Moon. So this is another really important point I want to make about goal setting, is that when we set goals, we are tapping into a unique gift or power that was only given to humans, and that is co-creatorship. No other creation has this power. But whenever we set goals, when we envision a future that does not exist yet in our lives, we are literally practicing the same thing that God did when he created this universe. We're able to literally imagine something that doesn't exist and make it substantial, make it a reality. That is the power of co-creatorship. And this is something that we all have as sons and daughters of God. We all have this gift, this power, but many of us don't fully utilize this power. So I want to really encourage you to really practice and strengthen this superpower that we all have of co-creatorship. One quick story. I had turned 30 years old, so this was almost 12 years ago. And I was looking at my life. My daughter, I had 2 children. My daughter just turned 1. And, it was a benchmark year, so I was really reflecting on, how things have been going. I had been serving in a ministry function for 5 years, but we were financially very poor, let's say, or I wouldn't say poor, but it wasn't so well off. And, I and my wife, I really don't blame her, but she was, encouraging me. Maybe that's a nice way of saying it, but she was saying like I should be considering how, I could make better money utilizing my Wharton degree. But my heart was in ministry, so I had to go to God and ask God, if you want me to continue to do ministry, I need you to help me out here. I know I could be and I should be earning six figures. But given the current circumstances, that's not the reality. But I truly believe and I want to be able to earn six figures. So this was, again, around my birthday, my 30th birthday, February of 2009. And so I set that very strongly. And I even wrote it down and so on and so forth. 4 months later, I found out that I was fired. And I was really surprised because I didn't think anyone else would want my job. It's just a lot of work. But anyway, I was fired and I ended up working as an entry-level accountant at the New Yorker hotel. And my salary went down 25%. And I was seriously asking God, I asked for more money. Maybe I wasn't specific enough, but I asked for more money, not less money. But I found myself in a tough situation where my salary was cut. But it was a kind of more of a business kind of job. So I really worked hard, and I kind of learned the jobs of two of my coworkers in 3 months. And I went to my boss and I said, hey, this is what I can do. And I really feel I can do more for the company. Would you consider hiring me or promoting me as the assistant controller? So it was brought to the executives and they basically laughed at me, how audacious it was for me as an entry-level accountant to seek such a high role. So anyway, I felt discouraged and I started to look for work outside for other companies. And then lo and behold, I was actually hired back at headquarters. And this time, the title of the job that I was hired back for was the assistant controller. Not only that, my wife was able to find a job. We moved to New York, had my parents help out with the kids, and then we were both working. And within, I believe, almost exactly to the time I set this goal, about a year later, we were able to be in a position to earn six figures as a household. So I like to, Dr. Young, the regional president, sometimes says that, if you're really devoted, and God is your sponsor, then really anything's possible. And I felt a lot of support from God in responding to my request in order for me to continue my ministry. So those are some reasons on why to set goals, but I want to go into how do you actually go about setting goals with God. There's 3 key points I'd like to cover. The first point is that you really need to know yourself. What I mean by this is that it's not, setting goals is not about just asking God, what do you want me to do? Actually, the first step is you need to first know yourself. This is part of your portion of responsibility to discover what it is that you are good at and what is it that you want to offer. So you really need to start with self-awareness. Let's read. In your studies, you may have a favorite subject. The subject should be something that you value, that suits your aptitude and catches your interest. Continuing on, it should be something that you will enjoy all the time. You have to focus on this and study that subject. Again, this is from Father Moon. So I want you to take a moment to reflect on your gifts, the things that you feel you're good at or you're interested in, as well as your passions, things that bring you joy. And I want you to think that these gifts that you have, maybe you're musically talented, maybe you're good at math, maybe you're just good at hanging out with people, maybe you're really good at details or cleaning or organizing. Whatever it is, if you really see it as a gift, something that you've been uniquely gifted with, then you can really honor it as such. And also when it comes to passions, I want you to think about what brings you joy. What is it that when you do, it really lights you up? Maybe it's baking, or maybe it's, deep conversations with others. Whatever it is, these are clues to your kind of core gifts and passions. And one way to really include God in that is to really realize and access that this gift is actually a unique nature that God gave me. So it's not just about me. It's actually something that I got also through my parents. Maybe their genes, their talents, you inherited some of that. But also know that when you experience joy, if God is a parent, a heavenly parent that's watching over you, then naturally God also feels joy together with you. It's kind of like as parents, if you have children, when you see your children really enjoying themselves, playing and laughing and having fun, as a parent, you feel so much joy. It's the same way for God, is that when we experience joy, this also contributes to God's joy. Now, one last thing about this topic. I know that some of us, we feel kind of falsely humble. What I mean by that is that, you say, oh, I'm not so good at this, or I don't want to show off. And because we have this sense, we don't show up. We don't, generously share our talents. But I want you to know that if you see the talents you have as a gift, and if you see what you have as something that God wants you to share with the world, then it's no longer about overconfidence or arrogance. It really becomes you being humble to the gifts you were given and really called to share that for the sake of others. So I want you to really, some of our members I know at some point had to give up their passions, or we called it our Isaac, for the sake of following God's providence and God's will. But I want you to go back to those passions. I want you to consider tapping back into those and now utilize that to really bring joy to God, to others, and to find more fulfillment in your life through those things. So first thing is self-awareness in terms of how to set goals with God. Second is to understand God's will. Okay, so you need to know yourself, but you also need to know what is God's hope for us. So let's read some scripture here. You need to discuss with God regarding this important matter of your life. So, I want to encourage you, seek for God's guidance. Once you know yourself, ask God, how can I offer my talents? How can I offer my gift to serve others, to make a contribution to this world? And also know that there's, 3 basic areas that God really intended for each of us. Our personal maturity as a man or a woman, in terms of our character and our relationship with God. Second is about family and relationships. And third is our unique contribution to the world. So know that these are 3 key areas that God hopes for us as a parent, and that we can, constantly work on those things. You must live your life in a way that God can move with you and history can move with you. God reveals his will to central persons in order to fulfill his providence. You must lead your life centered on the heart of God. We have to relieve the heart of God who has grieved throughout the course of restoration. Again, passage from Father Moon. So I want you to reflect on how you can contribute your talents to those around you, and ultimately how you can use your talents to relieve the heart of God who cares for all people. Is there a way that you can use your gifts and talents to care for others, to inspire others, to bring more joy to others, to comfort others? As a parent who cares for all of his children, when a parent sees one child really caring for another child, it feels so good. Especially when the parent is not able to directly intervene. If you're able to take that on and really care for others on God's behalf, how much that moves God's heart. So I want you to really think, how can I, knowing God and his will, knowing myself, how can I use those things to really serve others? And the final step in setting goals with God is, after you know yourself, after you know God's hope for you, is be open to God's plan. What do I mean by that? Here's a passage from Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 through 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. I'm going to share a story, talking with the presidents, I call it. So back in 2013, I spoke with the former president of Family Federation, Dr. Balcom. And I was ending my role as the director of, what was I doing? I was the leadership program director for Generation Peace Academy, which was a really kind of a leadership program for gap year students. I was wrapping that up, and I was asking the president at that time, is there a role that you see I can play at headquarters, at the church headquarters? And he said, it depends. What do you want to do? And I told him at that time, I still remember very clearly, I said, I want to be in a role that can contribute the most in the area of education, in terms of organization and finance for our whole church movement. And so I took the next 3 months negotiating with him and the HR director, and we came up with, I prepared a whole proposal, and I said, okay, so this is the proposal for me as the director of strategic planning. And after 3 long months, it was approved. And I was elated. I was like, yes, this is exactly the kind of job I want. I can have impact in our community. And at the same time, the hours are set and, kind of comfortable office job. And I was I brought it to my wife, and it's like, don't worry, honey, I can be home more often. And 3 days later, I got a phone call that Mother Moon wants to see me in Hawaii. And I was like, oh my God, what for? And I found out that she wanted me to be the CARP president, which is the kind of the campus ministry arm. And at that time, CARP was in a really troubled space. It had to be kind of parked for a little while. So there were no members, no funding, and kind of a negative brand. So when I heard that, my first thought was, this is career suicide. Yeah, that was tough. Anyway, long story short, you had to be there, but I couldn't say no, let's just say. So I accepted the role reluctantly. And from there, over the next 7 years, I really invested, and we rebuilt CARP. Then we went into adding, supporting youth ministry, and then young adult ministry, and then the gap year program, and really grew the foundation of all our youth programming. And after 7 years of doing that, I was able to identify and raise a replacement for my role as the Director of Youth and Young Adult Ministry. And I felt like I completed this kind of 7-year course. And then I went to the then president, former president, President Dunkley. And again, same thing. I prepared a proposal and I said, now I feel I'm ready to be the vice president of strategic planning. I made a really, nice, brilliant proposal. And then President Dunkley asked me and says, well, what are you afraid of? And I was like, this is a bad question to answer. So I pleaded the fifth. I stayed silent. I didn't say anything. And 1 week later, he comes back and says, I would like you to be the assistant pastor of the largest community. Oh, and by the way, I also would like you to lead the mobilization for an upcoming rally in 3 months, where we simply have to gather about 15,000 people to fill Madison Square Garden. Was it Madison Square Garden? Prudential, sorry, New Jersey. Sorry, guys. It was Prudential. Anyway, point is, that was the last thing I wanted to do. Like, I've been working in education. I guess I shouldn't say that, but let's say rallies is not my favorite thing. But I really felt like this, God was asking me to do this through the president. And so, again, I reluctantly agreed, and I poured my heart into really working to make that successful. I grew a lot through that whole process. And yeah, interestingly enough, had a chance to also serve as an assistant pastor, as a local regional pastor, district pastor. And just recently, 2 months ago, I didn't expect it, but Mother Moon had asked me to step up as the president of Family Federation and our Heavenly Parents Holy Community for America, North America. And again, as big of a shock as that was for me, I was reminded of my original requests more than 7 years ago to Dr. Balcom, that I wanted to be in a role where I can have the greatest impact on the education, on finances and organization of our whole movement. And I feel like God was preparing me this whole time so that I would be ready and able to take on such a role. So what I want to say is that sometimes, actually many times, almost all the time, God works in ways, in mysterious ways, in ways you may not expect. But if you are clear about what it is you want to offer, God will surely respond. It just takes persistence to be able to see it through. I want to, in this final segment, I want to cover some historic figures that also set goals with God. One example is our Pilgrim Fathers, who 400 years ago, they left their country to find a new land where they could freely worship and attend God. There's some stories where the Pilgrim founding community, they decided before building their homes, before building their schools, that they built a church, because for them, it was very clear that God was their first priority. And because of that founding intention and spirit, I believe that's why God blessed this country of America, that in a short 400 years, it has grown to be the superpower of the world. Another example, Martin Luther King Jr. I'm sure you're all familiar with his "I Have a Dream" speech. It says here, "This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing." land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. So Martin Luther King Jr., he really believed in the freedom for all of God's children. So his goal, was beyond just himself. He was really thinking, what is it that God wants for his people? And that's what drove him. Same thing with the pilgrims. What was it that God wanted? The people wanted to attend God and put God first. One final example is Father Moon. When he started his ministry, it was very humble. It was a cardboard hut. And even at that time in his early 30s, he was talking about, watching over the bay where there were, American cargo ships coming in. He said that someday people from all over the world will gather here in this country, this humble country of South Korea, to really honor and worship you. And this, people who are close to him, they believed he was a dynamic guy, but some people felt he was crazy. He's talking about these grandiose vision from a cardboard hut. But he felt like this was what God wanted, that God needed, and therefore he poured his complete vision and heart into that. Let us read. True parents, this is how we kind of refer to Mother and Father Moon together, set as their lives providential goals the liberation of God, the salvation of humankind, and the realization of a peaceful, ideal world. And they have completely invested their lives for the sake of those achievements. This is a message from Mother Moon. After Father Moon's passing back in 2012, it was a really tough time for our whole global community. But Mother Moon stepped up to the plate and she committed. And I remember her message, sharing this with me also when I met her in Hawaii that time, that she is absolutely committed to continue the legacy of Father Moon and really build a substantial kind of kingdom of one family under God here on earth. And she is continuing to lead the way in fulfilling that promise. So brothers and sisters, we have, all of these examples from history, including Mother and Father Moon, who really, as the true parents, they have really encouraged us, taught us these truths to live our lives with, have shared the blessing with us for our families, and continue to connect the people of the world. And I want to encourage all of us as part of this Heavenly Parents Holy Community to continue to support our Mother Moon in really fulfilling the goals that we have. And I want to end with this final secret in setting goals with God. Many times we feel these goals that we have are so grandiose. World peace, all these things, reaching hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people. How can we do that? And if we stay in our heads, it can be very discouraging. But if you think about how did these historic figures continue to pursue these unsurmountable goals of addressing inequality, starting a new life, creating a global community, how did they do that? It's because they had a strong why. It was because they could connect in heart with God's heart. In this morning's morning devotion, I had a breakout session and we had a conversation. And in that conversation, it came out that, if my child is hungry, I'm not going to think about, let's see, is it reasonable for me to feed them or whatnot? If someone that you care about, it needs your support and love, then it doesn't matter what it takes. If your heart is there, you're going to do whatever it takes. So the same thing, if we can connect with God's heart, his longing heart to make this peaceful world, then we're going to do whatever it takes to support God in making that a reality. So brothers and sisters, I want to really to encourage you, the secret sauce in goal setting with God is connect in heart. When you can connect to the heart, then anything is possible. You'll have the fuel to continue to persist and pursue those goals. So just as a recap, how to set goals with God. Know yourself, know your gifts and passions. Number 2 is understand God's basic will. And number 3, be open to God's plan. You know, it may not be as direct as my experience with talking with the former presidents, but be open. You know, maybe someone might ask you to help. Maybe you notice something that you feel you could support in. Be open to God's plan for you. And the secret sauce, again, it's about knowing your why and connecting in heart with God. So in conclusion, you know, we've set some pretty big goals for North America over the next 7 years. I want to encourage you to find one that you can get excited about. Let us work together as a holy community to fulfill our role as the Elder Son Nation in supporting Mother Moon and continuing the legacy of establishing one family under God. Hope you take the time to also go into the reflections of what kind of goals you'd like to set with God for this year, 2021. Again, 2020 was challenging. Let's make 2021 our best year yet. And please, the challenge of the week is to write down 3 goals for this year and share it with 3 or more people. Thank you for joining us today in our service, and I hope you feel more excited and clear about how to set goals together with God. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Naokimi Opa, President Naokimi. What a great message and very appropriate for the beginning of the year. Thank you so much. Let's take another moment to reflect on the question President Naokimi asked us today. What kind of goal would you like to set with God for 2021? What kind of goals would you like to set with God for 2021? Let's take a minute. Thank you so much. At this time, I'd like to invite up some guests to do some live reflections. I'd like to invite up Reverend Kevin Thompson, Sub-Regional Director of the West Sub-Region, and as Yoshie Manaka, our Social Media Manager for Family Federation, to share some thoughts with us. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you.
Hi.
So we had a great sermon from Naokimi today about goal setting, especially goal setting with God going into 2021. Any thoughts? I'd like to start with Yoshie if she has any.
Yes. Yeah, I think I really liked the point at the beginning that President Naokimi made, that people don't set goals because of fear of failure. And that kind of got me thinking also that probably the goals that we set January 1st don't necessarily speak to things that we're fully passionate about. They're probably things that we feel bad about and want to fix. But it's not starting from the point of God and like your personal relationship with God. So like how can you expect to stick with it? Yeah, before he was president, President Naokimi was my goal-setting guru, and so I've had a few conversations with him before, and yeah, isolating that kind of part of myself that is most kind of powerful, passionate, and like closest to God has really been a transformative concept in my life. Yeah, through conversations with him, I discovered that one of my core identities is that I'm a positive influencer. And I want people who come in contact with me to leave the interaction a better, happier, more peaceful person. And I also personally feel called to improve the public image of our community through inspiring our young people to be unapologetically ourselves. And by isolating that, I've been able to like find the unique and biggest way I'm going to make an impact in the world. Yeah, it just makes it easier knowing who I am and what part of me is most divine and closest to God. To say yes to things and to make decisions based on what speaks to that core identity. And I think God's really been able to work with that in 2020, even though it's been kind of a challenging one. During my annual reflecting and looking back at the year, I realized that having the mindset and intention took me places that I really never could have expected, including Peace Road. I think that was one big, massive practice of being a positive influencer and kind of putting that into practice together with a really wonderful team. So shout out to Peace Road. Thank you so much for being a part of the journey. Yeah, and also even the way that I approach my classes and projects at UTS has also changed completely, knowing this core identity, because I'm given opportunities at UTS to stretch myself and do things outside of my comfort zone and say yes, because I feel like God wants to really me be able to develop tools and skills to be able to do more with this passion and identity of mine. So yeah. I don't know. I would just encourage you all to spend maybe even more time thinking about that first point that Naokimi brought up, that know who you are in connection to God. Yeah.
Thanks, Yoshe. Honestly, you did such a great job in 2020. I think it was a great time for social media. So I think you did the most in helping out with our image and branding and sharing about our community. I'd like to move over to Reverend Thompson. Any thoughts about goal setting and what Naokimi Opa shared this morning?
Yeah, thank you, President Naokimi. You are indeed the goal guru. You've helped a lot of people with goals, and something you said at the beginning, that it's a spiritual habit or spiritual practice that we need to develop to set goals with God. I think setting goals is a statement of my faith. When I set a goal with God, it stretches my faith. Therefore, the bigger the goal that I set, the more faith I'm going to need for it to actually happen. And I think it pleases God when we set big goals, because it means we have big faith in God. So, of course, if I have no goals, it means I don't need any faith. So I can just drift through life if I don't set any goals. But I think what I learned from Father and Mother Moon is to have big dreams and make big goals. Big dreams and small dreams cost the same. So why not go for the big ones? Why should we have little thinking? We shouldn't live with regret. We should make big goals and go for it with excitement. I know that for myself, most people also, we're very good at finding excuses. I don't speak too good. No habla inglés. I'm too poor. I got too many things to do. But when you set goals of faith, you're not setting goals centered upon yourself. You're setting goals centered upon what God can do, not what you can do. I learned this from my sister, Claudette Cambara. God can do great things if you set great goals. So I wonder how many of us could accomplish much more if we had greater faith. If we had greater faith in God. So let's stretch our faith and let's make great goals that God can work with and work through. Jesus told us it will be done according to your faith. So let's have great faith, make great goals, and don't be afraid. One thing Mother Moon is telling us, you've got nothing to be afraid of. Go out there and be victorious. So thank you for today's sermon. It made me think more. I recently made goals, but I need to polish them up and I need to increase them. Thank you, President Naokimi.
Thank you, Reverend Thompson. Great reminder. Thank you for our secondary sermon about how we need to have greater faith to accomplish great goals. I think as our national movement, we set really big goals. And I think that's a great reminder that it can be done. We just need to have the faith and trust in our Mother Moon, who's set these goals and is guiding us through to make it happen. Thank you both for this engaging conversation. I hope all of you will consider and reflect on your goals. I know I still have to polish mine up like Reverend Thompson. So we're going to make a great 2021 together. So I hope you enjoyed this reflection. I'd like to remind of the challenge before we close out this segment. Remember that I hope everything you learned today can help you digest and think about what you want to accomplish for 2021. So during this week, please write down 1 to 3 goals for 2021 and share with 1 or more people. And if you want, you can also share your New Year's resolutions with us on our Family Fed Facebook, and we may feature your story. Again, the challenge is write down 3 goals for 2021 and share it with 3 or more people this week. Thank you. Thank you to our panelists. At this time, let's go to our closing prayer.
Let's join Reverend Andrew Compton from Las Vegas, the HTM and Education Coordinator, for our closing prayer.
Hello, brothers and sisters. Please join me together in prayer. Our beloved Heavenly Parent, thank you for this wonderful experience that we just had together, this Sunday service, this first Sunday of the new year. Thank you so much for our President Naokimi and his incredible message. I'm so grateful for this message about goal setting. When we think about this, when we turn to you in prayer, I guess our first thought is that you must have your goals. And I believe that as your children, you want to really understand your heart and embrace the goals that you have. We can imagine that you, as our Heavenly Parent, your goal must be that each and every one of us, that we fulfill our greatest potential, that we are able to realize our greatest happiness in this world. Heavenly Parent, thank you for this message. We pray that we can really take to heart these important points. Please help us to have a better knowledge of ourselves. Please help us see more clearly the talents and the gifts that you've given to us. Please help us to understand what kind of hope that you have for each of us, that we can believe in ourselves with greater faith. And please, Heavenly Parent, please help us to be open to your guidance, not just centered upon our own will, but really to be open, believing and trusting that your will for us is our best possible will, best possible path. Heavenly Parent, as we gather together this morning in this morning's service, we also are reminded that the path that we're walking, this path of faith, is not an easy path, that it involves sacrifice, sometimes pain and suffering. This past year, there's been the pandemic. So many people have been affected by this. And in our unification movement community, we especially grieve over the loss of the Kambara family. And we realize that we are being called upon now with this clear guidance to set goals, that these goals can enable us to rise up at this time and out of the pain of this past year and realize a glorious 2021. Heavenly Parent, we want to embrace your heart. We want to believe in ourselves, believe in each other, and we want to achieve incredible goals that will make you happy and that will change this world and open all people up to the vision that your kingdom on this earth can be realized. Thank you for everyone on this call. Thank you, all of us together. And we want to report to you, and I pray this to you in my name, Andrew and Lydia Compton of a Blessed Central Family, Jew.
For our closing song, we have another American representative from the Hyojung exhibition for the 12th annual Myun Hyojin Music Festival. Yoshiha Tsuchida from Las Vegas will be performing his original song, Frontline.
The weight of your heavy heart, I know you're feeling like you can't be hurt, and I know you suffered all these countless years, and I promise to relieve this massive burden. I can finally see you endured indemnity while I have my own portion of responsibility. You are my parent and I am your child, so when you come calling, I'll probably shout, put me in the front line when father's side is burning. I get my ass in love, faith and modeling, yeah, so put me in the front line, brother, this is our time. This legacy is our to carry on. I know your love's unconditional, and I see it through the world so beautiful, and I feel your heart, I'm so emotional, and I hear your voice, I will heed the call, for I can finally see the love you had for me. You never held back, always invested everything. You are my parent and I am your child, so when you come calling, I'll probably say I'm moving to the front line when mother's side is gracing. I get my absolute faith and modeling, yeah, so put me in the front line, sisters, this is your time. Her legacy is ours to carry on. Let's go! When you call my name, I won't hesitate, climbing all the way, I am unafraid. When you call my name, I won't hesitate, climbing all the way, we are unafraid. When you call my name, I won't hesitate, climbing all the way, we're unafraid, we're fighting in the front line when father's side is burning. I get my absolute faith on my land, so put me in the front line when mother's side is racing. Their legacy is ours to carry on, and we can never back down. We must carry on, and we will always stand strong. We will carry on.
Wow, what an explosive ending. Thank you, Yoshiha. That was amazing. You can actually check out the rest of the online Hyojung exhibition, including Yoshiha's piece here, as well as any updates for the Myun Hyojin Music Festival and upcoming concert at myunhyojin.com. Thank you for joining us today. If you've enjoyed your time with us, we'd love your support. You can type #coffee in the Facebook chat or visit nationalfamilyservice.org and click the Give a Coffee button to support this ministry for the price of a cup of coffee. We also encourage you to join your local community meetups after the service. To find an online meetup near you, visit same website, nationalfamilyservice.org, and click on local church to get to the local meetups. Brothers and sisters, we enjoyed spending this year with you. We're looking forward to another great year. Thank you for joining us this Sunday. Happy New Year, and we'll see you next time right here on National Family Service. God bless everyone.